So my name is Michelle Levy. I'm a creative writing teacher in Westchester County, and I have a background in psychology, and I have an interest in yoga and meditation, and I integrate those things into my writing classes. And yes, I'm a career book editor, so I also do proofreading and publishing. But I am obsessed with labyrinths, and it's been this way, I think, for about 8 years. And I'll just say that my first exposure to labyrinths came from a birthing class and this book called The Labyrinth of Birth, where the teacher compared the labor to a labyrinth, because you go forward and you inch back. You go forward and you inch back. And it's a non-linear process that involves going deep within, in experiencing a transformation and coming out, rejoining the world changed and elevated. So that was my first exposure to labyrinths. And then I discovered many places in our region where you can actually walk a labyrinth that has been built into the ground with stones or foliage. And so there are walking labyrinths. And for labor, I got a finger labyrinth. And I just want to show this before we begin, that this is called a double finger labyrinth that you trace with your finger to relax or meditate or make a wish when you get to the center. And I'll go into all the details as to how you can use this. Now, this can be used with another person sitting on opposite you, which is really nice for couples work. Or you can use it yourself to balance the two hemispheres of the brain. So this is called a double finger labyrinth. And at the end, I'll tell you where you can get one of your own. Today, you're going to need a pad of paper and pencils or pens, because we're going to draw your own finger labyrinth that you can use for meditation and wish fulfillment and relaxation. So as I cue up the slideshow right now, make sure you have a pad with more than one piece of paper. 8.5 by 11 is good. And some pens or pencils, whatever you prefer.
The word labyrinth comes from the Greek labyrinthos, derived from the Minoan labrys, a two-headed axe symbol. A labyrinth is a maze-like structure with a single path that leads to its center. In Greek mythology, Daedalus created the labyrinth to house the Minotaur, part man, part bull. Every year, people from Athens were sent into the labyrinth as a sacrifice to the Minotaur. Theseus used Ariadne's help to navigate the labyrinth using her ball of twine and slayed the Minotaur. Labyrinths are found throughout the world, from India to Egypt, from Turkey to Italy, and in our region of the United States. One of the most famous labyrinths is in the Chartres Cathedral in France. The Chartres Labyrinth was constructed sometime between the years 1200 and 1300 CE. It has become the most popular labyrinth shape in use. Labyrinths appear all over the world. in astounding variety. Labyrinths were originally constructed on a grand scale people could walk through. Today you will learn to draw a finger labyrinth you can use every day. Every labyrinth has a threshold or entrance, a different number of circuits, and a center. Every labyrinth blossoms from a seed or pattern that determines its shape. Here on the left is the seed that will blossom into the 7-circuit labyrinth you see on the right. This classical 7-circuit labyrinth blossoms from a seed pattern that looks like a cross. Choose which labyrinth you'd like to draw, the one on the left or the one on the right. Remember, it takes practice. Labyrinths can be used for meditation, transformation, manifesting, healing, and relaxation. At the entrance to the labyrinth, before you cross the threshold, take a few cleansing breaths and decide what you'd like to release. At the center of the labyrinth, open your heart. Think about what you'd like to receive. To complete your meditation, return to the entrance the way you came. Return whole, transformed, elevated, and relaxed.
So thank you for watching. What I'd like to do is bring up the sketching guide and have you try your hand at sketching a labyrinth. Now, I teach this module in my writing classes to students who are not visual artists. And you might be saying the same thing. I don't know how to draw. I have never drawn anything in my life. And that is part of the lesson. I invite you to go outside your comfort zone because that's where the magic happens. And this is also a lesson in drafting. Your first draft is gonna stink. And your second draft might stink. And your third draft will be a little better. And your fourth draft might be something that you want to decorate and laminate. And here's the first one that I laminated. And I wrote some words on it so that when I traverse the labyrinth, I say the words to myself. And it's like a mantra or a relaxation that I really enjoy. And here's one that I made recently with my students in class. So this is one of the seed patterns. And this is the other seed pattern, and I'm going to help you. So there's a lot you can do with it. And I also discovered this in a doctor's office where every time I came to the midwife, I would trace the pattern with my finger to relax. So I really hope you enjoy this. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm also going to talk a little more about the symbolism while we're drawing and answer any questions you might have. And if you want to show me your sketch, I can help you hammer out the kinks. So let's go to the slideshow. So what I recommend is taking a screen grab right now, if you can or if you want to. I will also be happy to send this file to those who participated or post the file. It's a JPEG, and I'm happy to post it and share it so that you can use it. You're welcome to unmute yourselves and ask questions as they occur. You don't have to raise your hand. The one on the left is a little easier, and you start with this seed pattern. The one on the right is called a Cretan or classical 7-circuit labyrinth, and this is one of the most popular ones that you'll see. And here is the first thing you draw. It's called the seed. And you'll notice here the next steps are outlined, are highlighted in red. And then you build your labyrinth. I have a word of advice. You should start your labyrinth in the lower third of your page, not in the center of your page, because it blossoms upward like a cauliflower. So you'll want to position your seed, as I've done here, in the lower third of your page. And you may draw your outline in pencil and go over it with markers, paints. I've used stickers to embellish. I've used metallic markers. And in my classes, I bring my laminating machine and I laminate everyone's labyrinths at the end so they have something to take home. So I highly recommend, making it special. And then you can use it every day to relax, or I'll tell you a little story while you're starting to draw. How's it going, Olga? Are you giving it a whirl?
Yep, I'm working on it.
Okay, great. And which one did you choose, the left or the right?
Would you like to guess?
The left?
No, the right one.
The right one. Well, that's, I'm going to be honest, that's the one I prefer. And once you get the hang of it, you'll quickly memorize the seed and you can be able to draw a labyrinth wherever you go. And you could trace one in the sand when you're at the beach with a stick. It becomes a really enjoyable tool. So let's talk a little bit while you're drawing about the symbolism of the labyrinth, the modern symbolism. Some people believe that the labyrinth represents the womb or the subconscious or the deep self or the brain. And it certainly is a metaphor for life's journey. We are heading toward our destiny, but sometimes it seems like we're turned away off the path, when in truth, all paths lead to the center, and you're always on the right path with forward motion toward your destiny. So the labyrinth is a very nice metaphor for life. Now, what I learned recently is that going in a clockwise motion generates energy, and going in a counterclockwise motion is said to release energy. So the labyrinth is both energizing and cleansing. And I want to share a website with you called labyrinthsociety.org, and they have a labyrinth locator. So wherever you live in the United States, I think wherever you live in the world, it helps you find the nearest labyrinth. So I encourage you to visit one and walk in the labyrinth, because that's the ultimate experience. I just learned of a new labyrinth within a mile of my house. I had no idea the greenhouse people were working on building a labyrinth near me. So I think I have my afternoon planned. I have to go visit this labyrinth. I have 3 that I have access to. One in Manhattan, one in Hartsdale, one in Rye, and now I just discovered that there's one in New Rochelle. So there's probably one, and there are more, in upstate New York. So there's probably a labyrinth near you. And when you walk at a pace that's different from the pace. Oh, yay. I just made my first labyrinth. I got a message. That's wonderful. When you walk at a pace that's either slower or faster than your normal pace. You know, you can be meditative. I even used the labyrinth for exercise once, and I did lunge walks the entire time, and my thighs were burning. So there are so many uses of the labyrinth, and I just want to share my enthusiasm for labyrinths and encourage you to go find one. And, you know, I also want to tell another story of the time my mother broke her leg. She was in Florida, and so sad. She broke her leg, and I couldn't be with her immediately. So I brought a photograph of my mother, and I brought some beautiful stones, and I went to the labyrinth. And at the center of the labyrinth, I made a mandala with my mother's photo in the middle, my beautiful stones surrounding the photo, flower petals and leaves that I had found at the site. And when I got to the center, you know, I wished my mom wholeness and health and healing. And, you know, that gave me comfort, but I also believe in distance healing because I know some people who practice it. And so I believe the labyrinth can be used to connect to someone who's at a distance. So, and I also believe, you know, if you set your intention at the beginning, even of your finger labyrinth, I really believe the finger labyrinth has the same power. At the threshold or entrance of the labyrinth, you set your intention. I introduced a 3-part meditation: release, receive, return. And you know what? I'm so obsessed that I had a necklace made. And my necklace has a labyrinth, and it says release, receive, return. And but you can just make a wish. You can just make a wish and then trace the labyrinth with your finger. It's all about intention. It's about taking 2 to 5 minutes to meditate. You know, I am not great at seated meditation. I'm wiggly. My mind's taking flight. Hi, girls. I see you. I'm wiggly and my mind's taking flight. And so the labyrinth is a way to ground yourself and like have something to do with your hands while you're meditating. You know, your eyes can be open, or in the case of the finger labyrinth that I have, you can get one of these very cheaply. This has like a texture, and so I can trace this with my eyes closed, and this becomes a really nice meditation tool. And also it can, you know, kids can use this, especially kids who are struggling or need some education help. So the labyrinth has been an amazing tool for me and my family. And you know, it also kind of symbolizes rebirth. So if you're looking for change or especially to release some negativity, I think it's great to go to the labyrinth or pull out your labyrinth, trace the path. You'll notice a change. It's all about a shift, a change. When you go into the labyrinth, you become disoriented. You disconnect from the outside world. And you're safe inside. It's not a maze. A labyrinth is what we call unicursal, one path to the center. So you can trust that you won't get lost. But you have a gentle motion. It's so soothing. And it's really nurturing and wonderful. And I can't say enough good things. Let's hear how your drawings are going. Yay! Christina.
If you can see this.
I can see it. It's amazing. It's small.
one.
Oh, I see it. I see it. Okay. It's a little.
Making another one.
Yes, please. You're going to want to make, listen, the first one is messy and the second one's a little less messy. And I would say about the fourth or fifth time, hopefully you'll start getting it and enjoying it, Hello. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'd like to see your faces.
So here is my quest for perfection. I don't know if you can see. This is the first one. And
you run your fingers through it? There's no dead ends?
I did not run my fingers through it. I missed that part somehow because I got so into drawing them, and I did the first one and I wasn't happy with it, so I tried again.
It's a challenge to your confidence.
I tried again, and then I learned a very interesting.
Ooh, that one looks good. That looks like you could, make sure that you can complete it.
Yeah, but then interestingly, when I compared all of them, I noticed that my left sides of all of the labyrinths that I drew have very sharp angles.
I see that. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if there's a tree reading that we could do, an analysis, of how people's labyrinths turn out. Very good. Very good. You're on the right track. What's fun is to get some nice colored markers, or I have metallic markers, and have made, these are the two that I've made. There's the ones, oh yay, Becca, look at you. Amazing. I am so impressed. You're going to tell everyone at your office. She works at an art gallery, and I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of everyone because we like to be instantly good at things, and to dive in and make mistakes is really where the growth happens. And I know that when I'm teaching this, I expect frustration. I expect disappointment. And it's interesting because it's a metaphor for the labyrinth. You turn away, you want to quit. You might want to jump over the lines and hurry to the center, hurry to your goal, but you can't. We are on a path to our destination. We have to take each step. We can't skip any steps. In fact, I'm going to tell you something. I once met Michael Jordan in Chicago, and I had a chance in a stairwell while we were walking down to ask him, what's the key to success? Can you tell me in a nutshell? And you know what his answer was? Don't skip any steps. That was his answer. Don't skip any steps, from Michael Jordan himself. And I think the labyrinth supports that theory, and you hear it from one of the most successful people in recent history. And so that's my advice to you, is to practice, practice, practice. Is Adela raising her hand?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've got a question.
Yes, please.
When you said kids who are struggling, can autistic kids use labyrinths?
100%. I think especially the finger labyrinth with a texture is very useful for autistic children with learning disabilities, or developmentally delayed children. Yes, it's a therapeutic tool. And I'm so glad you asked that. That's very thoughtful. Yes, let's share it with anyone we know who might benefit.
What a wonderful question.
Thank you. That's my daughter, Adela and Bliss.
Hi, girls. Nice to
You're
meet
being
you.
very good. Thank you.
Thanks for participating.
Let's see. So I will say these websites that you can go to learn more. And then I can also post a follow-up with like a summary and some websites and some tools, files. So you'll want to visit labyrinthsociety.org. It's really one of the most comprehensive sites about labyrinths, and that has the labyrinth locator. So you can find a labyrinth near you. And I bought this labyrinth. This is really awesome. It weighs like, 5 pounds, and it's got a nice heft. And I got like an unfinished maple wood, but you can go all out. I mean, there's a whole range. You could buy single ones. You can buy plastic ones. Do you still need the screen, right? With the drawing instructions, or should I come back? You can still see me, right?
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay. This came from a website called Relax for Life with a 4, number 4 in the middle, relaxforlife.com. And this is called the Intua Path. And I take it, I take it to workshops and stuff. And Christina, I almost brought it to the mantra workshop, but I didn't want it to be a distraction, but I want to share that. I take it a lot of places because I want to share it with people. So I highly recommend visiting that site just for giggles to see what you might want to find on there. So it's been a pleasure sharing this information and my love of labyrinths with you. Do you have any questions? Because I have tons more information. And is anyone still drawing? I will happily send you this file. But if you're done drawing, I'll stop the screen share.
Oh, someone has their hand raised.
Oh, okay. Adela?
Hi,
Thanks, Becca. That's amazing. Wow. I'm so glad you're participating. That's amazing.
I have just one more question.
Yes.
Do you think our cats could use a labyrinth?
The cats could walk on the labyrinth. They probably wouldn't be able to follow the path. When you go outside to the labyrinth, they can be made of grass or stones or hedges. Cats are unpredictable. Let's give it a try later. How about that?
Yeah. Well, I noticed that cats still are pretty smart because I've been training them to I trained them to walk through tunnels. I made them.
Whoa! Hold on. Did you draw that?
Yeah. Just drew that.
Wait, okay. I know this was for 12 and up, but my kids are looking. And she's 4 and she drew the labyrinth seed. And I think that's a great demonstration how accessible this practice is. I'm going to help you draw a full labyrinth later, okay, sweetheart? Okay, I'm going to
Beautiful works, girls.
Well done.
Very nice. And I don't think I have any questions. I would appreciate the file so I can keep practicing because this is totally addictive, but an interesting pattern that I'm learning in the process about myself. I have a huge issue with unfinished lines. Like the lines that are not connected to anything are really bothering me.
I know this right here.
Exactly.
Where if you close it, it's a maze, it's a dead end. So what I recommend is putting like a flower sticker there or, decorating. And have you ever walked a labyrinth?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you need that. You need that there to flow through the experience. But I have the same thing. It was because I might have just a touch of OCD. I like things symmetrical and perfect, and I felt the same way.
Hey, girl.
Wants to say something.
Whoa, very feminine. And make sure you can trace your finger through that. Yeah, it looks like you will be able to, right?
Yes, I can.
Wow, we should. I mean, I've been wanting to, Christina is a local practitioner, and I've been wanting to share this method with you for so long. This is what I would have done on the equinox, and then you can put your, message inside it so that as you follow through, you say the mantra. You can write a mantra inside it. You can say, I am compassionate, or whatever it is. And so I encourage you to try that too. Thanks so much for participating, Christina. Bliss, did you have a question? We need to unmute your mic.
Yes, she said she has a question. Do you remember that? Then why did you just ask me to?
That's okay.
To unmute it?
That's okay. Nice to see you. So I think most of the people listening are in New York, and I'm happy to lead an excursion to a local labyrinth. Becca, I'm going to see you soon. We could go. It only takes, an hour to get there, do the labyrinth, and return. So maybe we'll go on a field trip.
Yeah. Can you share it with us at Nature Spirits also?
Maybe my well-kept secrets. Yes, of course, I would be happy to.
Thank you. We'll appreciate it. We have many New York friends there, so yeah.
And there's more rich history about the oldest labyrinth ever discovered in Egypt was, 1800 BC. And they think the Greek labyrinth was actually modeled on the Egyptian labyrinth, and they're all over the world. And they spring up independently, which is why people think this is some cosmic shape, a sacred geometry, because the circle and the spiral are just shapes that keep recurring in nature. So it's a very deep meditative art, and it goes on, and I'm just so happy to share a sliver of it with you today, and I encourage you to explore on your own. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Would you mind just sharing the name of the book again that you showed us in the beginning?
Beautiful book, even if you're not in labor. Beautiful book. It has also more seeds. At the back, you're going to love this. It has more seeds to draw different, it teaches how to draw more shapes, and has some of the origins. Wow, gorgeous, Bliss. And it has suggestions for breath work.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really rich book, and it's The Labyrinth of Birth by Pam England. Pam wrote Birthing from Within, which is a famous birthing book. I recommend both of her books. But this in particular, I even love more than Birthing from Within. It's called Labyrinth of Birth.
Thank you
Amazing.
so much.
Lots of information.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. Friends, if anyone has any questions, now is a good time to ask. One more question there. Someone's raising her hand.
I think she's just waving.
Okay. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Olga, for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
I will
Our
see you
pleasure.
again in the next webinar from Antinaco Earth Arts, because it's been amazing.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be included in this group.
Thanks so much. We're so grateful. Bye, friends.
Have a great day and a great weekend.